Welcome to Wordy Wednesday. Well, today we have some pairs, mostly, but we're also going to take a look at a couple of things that viewers have sent in and said, gee, this bothers me. Can we look at this? And the answer is yes. Yes, we can. So, when we get back, we're going to start to take a look at some of our word pairs. Why don't we start off with infer, imply. So, this is one that really stumbles a lot of people and frequently. So, if I imply something, I am making a suggestion, not saying it outright, suggesting something. I'm implying. You would then infer from what I am saying, which is to draw a conclusion. You're inferring from what I am implying. So, the easy way to remember this is alphabetical order. Imply comes before infer alphabetically because M precedes N. In order for you to infer, somebody has to imply. So, the implication comes before the inference, the suggestion before you draw that as a conclusion. That always helped me when I was learning this one. So, maybe it'll help you too. But infer and imply, frequently jumbled. Flounder and Founder. This is one that, like infer and imply, which are sort of opposite sides of the same coin, Flounder and Founder have very similar meanings. And you'll see that's sort of a thread. A lot of these words are confused because the meaning is somewhat similar, or they sound exactly alike. The pronunciation is identical. In this case, both of our terms are nautical. Flounder is a fish. We know that. But when it's used as a verb, it means to flop around, to struggle, like a flounder on the shore. Founder has a completely different word origin. It has nothing to do with fish. It originally comes from a Latin root, fundus, which is base or bottom. And if you founder, you've gone to the bottom. You've failed outright. So you may flounder for a while before you founder, but flounder is to just struggle. Founder is you are way past struggling. You have already crashed and burned. And founder, as I say, the Latin word foundation comes from that. The noun founder, as in the person who founds a city, again, creates, sets that on the base. And that's where we get this word. Orient and Orientate. This is a weird Britishism, and some of these are Britishisms. For some reason, the British like to add extra syllables. I don't know why. I love our language. I don't think it's difficult, but I think enough people out there would tell you that it's difficult enough. You don't need to be adding extra syllables. Orient is a word that in its basic meaning comes from east, which is why we can apply it to Asia, Orient, because, and I know for Americans that's hard because as far as we are concerned, it's not east, it's west. But to the Europeans, Asia was east. It has to do, orient in its basic sense has to do with compass directions, finding your direction. So orienting is to locate within the space. So, do you need to orientate? No. Orientate is not a generally accepted word. Some sources will say, yes, it's become acceptable. By and large, though, it's still in that gray area of not really acceptable, but maybe it will come in. For the purposes of our discussion, I'm just going to label it a non-word because it is not fully accepted. Interestingly enough, and this is just an aside, origin and originate started off very much the same way as orient and orientate. Origin, at the beginning, was the actual word that meant originate. Something would have origined it origined in France, for example. Now we would say it originated in France. One took over. Again, weird British custom of slapping an extra syllable on things, who knows why. So that's why I'm sometimes reluctant to jump too hard on orientate, because who knows, in the end that may be the one that wins out. After all, it did in the case of origin and originate. All right, let's take a look at this one. Disinterested, uninterested. I like this pair, mostly because disinterested is a word that Jane Austen used quite a bit. Now, a disinterested bystander is an impartial person. It's not that they are not interested, but they have no interest, meaning no stake in the matter. An uninterested person is a person who doesn't care what's going on. This is a person who is bored. This is a person who has no interest whatsoever and is ready to walk off. So, disinterested, impartial, uninterested, bored. Your disinterested bystander might have witnessed an accident and might be able to give you impartially the story of what happened. Your uninterested stranger will not, because they were not paying attention, they were not interested, and they were just, texting somebody. So, two words, very similar, very different meanings. Hung and hanged. Hung is the past tense of hang. If you wish to hang your clothes on the line, great. If you did it yesterday, you hung them. But there is one exception, and that is with humans. A convicted criminal was not hung. He or she was hanged. That is a weird little blip, if you will. Ordinarily, absolutely everything that we hang today, we hung yesterday, with the exception of humans. And I believe personally the reason for this is because we have this entire body of judicial literature, really, judicial writings that referred to hanging, hanged, hanged people, and that we've kept what was probably an archaic past tense, simply because the body of written law continued to give us that word. It kept it alive in that context. So just remember, pictures are hung, humans are hanged. All right. Loath and loathe. This is interesting because these words are pronounced identically. They are spelled almost identically, and they have very different meanings. So let's start with the shorter one, loath, L-O-A-T-H. Loath means reluctant, as in, I am loath to interrupt them when they are arguing. I don't want to go near it. Loathe, L-O-A-T-H-E, is hatred, despising. I loathe country music, for example. I don't really, but... So, very different meanings, because reluctance honestly has nothing to do with hatred. Perhaps you might see it on a sliding scale as, reluctance on the far end over here and hatred like way over here somewhere. But these are not really words with similar meanings at all. And I would say the only way to keep them straight is that little continuum. Reluctance at the very, very end on one end, shorter word. Hatred, far end, longer word. Not much of a mnemonic, but the best I can do for these two. This one is a pair we use very frequently, and we screw this up all the time. Practice and practice. The first practice, the one with the C, this is an ideal or a doctrine or a medical practice. It has to do with theories and ideals. The other, with an S, P-R-A-C-T-I-S-E, that practice is when you repeat something in order to gain skill. I'm practicing my letters, I'm practicing piano. And we make a mess of this all the time. In fact, I am very rarely seeing anyone write practice. I practice piano, in other words, with an S. Almost always seeing that with a C, which is in fact incorrect. So, and it's common, let's face it. We all, practice makes perfect. This is not an unusual word that maybe doesn't flow from our lips the way loathe and loathe might not. We say practice continually. And very often we are getting it wrong. So this is one to keep our eyes on. Okay, next up, stationery with an A and stationery with an E. Now, stationery with an A means still, stationary. It's maintaining its station, it's standing still. Stationery with an E is, paper, stationery supplies, has to do with writing. And again, this is one that I very, very rarely see. When people refer to stationery, oh, I have beautiful stationery, but who writes letters anymore? Almost invariably write it with an A, and that is incorrect. So it's another one we've got to keep our eyes on. Okay, next up, hoard and hoard. So, first hoard, H-O-A-R-D. That hoard is our goodies that we stick in our pretty boxes. That is our stash, our cache of goodies, our hoard. Hoard, H-O-R-D-E, is a large crowd of people. I see that screwed up constantly. The one that people tend to defer to is H-O-A-R-D. And they'll say, you know, Horde of Barbarians. No, Horde of Barbarians is H-O-R-D-E. So different spellings, very different meanings, because I don't have any boxes big enough to hold a Horde of Barbarians. So what can I say? But that's one that, again, totally different meanings, and we screw up on that one all the time. This one is sort of, well, I don't want to say a fun one, but I do find it interesting. Tortuous and torturous. So, tortuous is twisted, corkscrewed, complex. So, a tortuous back road that wove in and out of the woods. That's what that means. Torturous is, you know, something, I don't know, maybe if you have to drive it at night, it's torturous. Torturous has to do with torture, which is pain. So, torturous is a painful experience. Tortuous is a complex experience. So, that's your difference. And that's one, again, I see that misused a lot, but it's not as common a word. It's not like practice, a word that we use, you know, almost every day in ordinary conversation. We don't ordinarily say tortuous or torturous, but when we do, boy, we tend to get it wrong. Okay, forbear and forbear. Now, F-O-R-B-E-A-R is simply to refrain. You know, one forbears from comment. You restrain yourself. Forbear. F-O-R-E-B-E-A-R is those who bore before you. F-O-R-E meaning previously. Those are your ancestors. So that one, the easy way to keep that separate is to understand the word parts in this. For, F-O-R-E, meaning having gone before, and bear as in, yes, hello, Audie, as in born. So remember, before born, ancestors, and it'll just fall into place for you. Flaunt and flout. This is another reasonably common pair. Would you like to come up here, or are you just going to crawl around my feet like this? A reasonably common pair. This, in other words, flaunt and flout are in our common vocabularies. Flaunt is to display, to show off. You know, one flaunts a new car or new jewelry. One displays, shows off. But to flout is completely different. That is to disregard, as in to flout the law. Again, common words, we commonly use them, and we make a lot of mistakes with those. Yes, I know, I got you. All right. Do we need to take a look at, yes, we've got some more. We wanted to take a look at a couple of words, as well as our previously mentioned pairs that some of our viewers have sent in. And we're going to start with supposably. Well, supposably is a noun word. It is supposedly, which means presumably, allegedly, something that was supposed to have happened. There is no supposably. There is no supposable. There is opposable, as in opposable thumbs, but no supposable. By the way, I do think that that little conflation is how we got it. Opposable is a word, and people just sort of figure, well, supposable, they made a connection that isn't there. But supposably, absolutely not a word, period. And it's not only not a word, it's one of those mistakes that people will judge you for. So that's one that I always encourage people to stay far, far away from, because things like supposably is right up there with he ain't. People are just going to look at you and say, good Lord, where were they educated? So cautious on that one. Another one that is making our viewers crazy are these ones. And I get a kick out of these ones because this is another one of those weird Britishisms. And it's a Britishism of adding extra bits that we as Americans do not find necessary. So, for example, did he go to the store? Well, we look around the room, and as Americans, we would say, he must have. Or, did he go to the store? He must have, For the British, no, he must have done. To us as Americans, we look at that and say, he must have done what? That sounds like an incomplete sentence to us, whereas our own, even less complete, he must have, seems perfectly normal. And this happens a lot. You hear it all the time. It's like a Brit will open their mouths, and it's like, whoa, why are you putting extra unnecessary words in? You're one. Like, you're one. And that's your Y-O-U-R as in possession. You're one. Well, what does that mean? Well, my cat is black, your one is yellow. That, to us, is profoundly weird, because we would say yours, not your one, yours, much shorter. And we look at this with these extra bits on it and say, good heavens, why do they do that? Stop that, because it's so irritating to us. It's like these ones, we say these, that's it, stop, don't say anything else. And again, weird Britishisms. No explanation for it. I don't know why. It makes sense to them, just as our version makes sense to us. And to be fair, as I say, theirs is a little more complete than ours, but boy, does it make me crazy. They must do. But they must do. Do what? Meanwhile, I'm perfectly happy with saying, well, they must. So, all right, I hope you have enjoyed our Wordy Wednesday for today. Please remember, go check out Amy's accoutrements. Now, I've left a comment pinned at the beginning of this video, and that's going to show you how to get to her website and her Etsy shop. It also gives you an email address so you can get in touch and enter her giveaway, because she's just got some amazing things. She really does. It's just, I didn't even realize that's amazing, Amy, when I said that, because the word that comes to my mind when I see that jewelry is amazing. So it's terrific. So absolutely go take a look at her stuff. If you want to see what she's offering for the giveaway, I want you to go take a look at the video from Sunday, and that will show you the whole slideshow, which is full of all of her goodies, including the giveaway prizes. So, Everybody, have a great couple of days. I will not see you tomorrow, but I will see you on Friday. All right, take care. Use those words carefully.